Hello and welcome to Axie. I am Wade, and this is my second video in talking about how I set up my breeding farm. The last video that I put out was on how I selected my Aqua breeders. I started with midline Aquas with Nimo tails, and I went through in detail how I selected the six Axies that I came up with as optimal for me to, start a breeding farm. And in this video, I am going to show you which Axies I decided to pair. I ended up doing two different families, and I have two virgins still that I'm debating what to do with, whether I'm going to crossbreed them or sell them. Not certain at the moment, but I just wanted to walk everyone through what I looked at and show a little bit more detail on the overall kind of cost analysis that I did with my initial investment and thinking about how this could be potentially profitable. Not financial advice, just doing some back of the envelope math, and I just wanted to walk you through that. So, without further ado, let me get into it. So, I think I'm going to start here actually on my little Google sheet to look at the overall costs of the setup for the breeding farm here. And as I said in the last video, I wanted to be transparent with what I purchased. So, going through everything, just kind of starting over here on the right. This is just a list of everything that I bought. I named everything A through F because I purchased six. Here in the purity sign, I just did the percentage of purity that I had for each of them. And in the parentheses here, this was where I had my Nemos. So dominant recessive one, dominant recessive one, two, and three, etc. And that was just because obviously I was very focused on breeding Nemos in this start of this farm, so wanted to track that. I have my Ethereum cost and my USD cost over here on the right. And after I decided what I was going to select, I just piped that here over to this other side of the sheet where I just dragged all that information across, got my total cost in ETH and USD. This is kind of what I think is going to come out of the children. And then I also broke down the breeding costs, 3,300 for four breeds for each of them, and 16 AXS for each. And right down here, this is the USD cost for each of them. This is my investment cost. This isn't current market prices. Over the past few days, AXS has gone as high as 40 and change, and I think it's around $30, 37 at the time of me recording this. And SLP obviously slightly higher than 25, but this was my investment basis, which is how I'm going to be, measuring this. I don't know how many people compare investment versus market when they go through this, but this is just how I think about an overall return on my investment because this is what I purchased at. This is the cost basis at which I'm burning the SLP and AXS in order to create my farm, and then I'll be selling that in ETH and you know seeing what my profit is on an Ethereum and USD basis. So just a little bit about how I thought about that. Um, and yeah, the only other thing down here was I did a quick little market comp as to how much I could potentially resell these for after four breeds. So I just looked at the skill traits for each of these. Most of them are, Nemo, risky, or piranha with goldfish on the back and Shoalstar or Randa on the horn. So just looking at that, anywhere from spot 2.3 to spot 2.5 was my market comp when I looked at that. And the reason I compared this out is because when I break down the overall potential profit, hypothetical profit, Again, can't stress this enough. None of this is financial advice, just back of the envelope math. The first thing that I have to think through is, okay, how much ETH did I spend on these breeders? 2.09. How much do I think I can resell them for? 1.15. And then what were my breeding costs? And that was 1.15 ETH as well, after converting the USD cost for the SLP and AXS. So before I did anything, I'm out of pocket 2.1 ETH. And what I did here is obviously just, what is my break even if I have 8 kids and I got to make back 2.1. I need to sell 8 for spot 262, and whether or not I think I can do that, it's going to be market dependent. But overall, I do think that I can. And this is just a toggle that I built out for hypothetical average sale. When I looked at the outputs for the likely traits that I'll get, and I will go through the Axie zone breeding calculator after this to show you how I got to these odds. I basically just looked at, okay, what is a 90% pure breed and what is a 95% pure breed with these stats? What are they going for in the market? And I saw them anywhere from spot 3 to spot 375 Ethereum. And then I also looked at, one of my outliers I talked about in my last video. I had a couple of bug and beast parts in my R1s, and I was really stressing that having advantageous R1s on these Aquas would be beneficial. So I went and I looked and I said, okay, what would it be for a virgin Nimo that had one of these, non pure aqua parts? And I found that, a sandal on the back of a otherwise, if this was a 5 or 6, so sandal's the only thing. All my eyes and ears are good, and all my other parts come out well. This should be about spot 3 Ethereum, and dual blade on a Nemo with risky and like goldfish as well. I should be able to sell that for 0.4 Ethereum. So overall, I just kind of took this as kind of a back of the envelope math, and I was like, okay, if these came out relatively somewhere in this line between 3 and 4, 3.375, I should. I kind of came up with this average of 0.35, which this calculator just multiplies that by the 8 offspring. And if I'm able to sell all 8 for spot 3.5 on average, I'll net 2.8 Ethereum, which after my breeding costs gets me up spot 7. So just back of the envelope math, how I was thinking about what are the potential profits here. And again, not financial advice, just a look at the numbers. And obviously, it's going to be very dependent on the price of SLP and AXS. So that is all things to consider when you are working through this. But as I started this, that is how I kind of laid it out. And now I am going to go through and show you the breeding calc and explain my thoughts as to why I decided to pair my Aqua A with Aqua E and my Aqua C with my Aqua D to set up this breeding farm. Great. So, starting with my Aquas A and E, which were my highest purities, those were both 97% pures, and I'll show you them here. Aqua A coming in 97% purity, 2 Nemos, 3 goldfish, 2 shoal stars, piranha, and only 1 non-aqua I. Really good aqua here. It already shows 4 breeds because I have bred these already. I'm waiting on the eggs, but the way that I, started filming these videos, I wanted to get those incubating and cooking before I before I recorded this. So that's why this shows a breed count of 4 here. But I bred my Aqua A, which is 97% pure, with my Aqua E, which again, also a 97% pure. And as I talked about in my last video, I think this is a really both just awesome awesome builds. Having this Garish Worm and the dual blade um, as recessives are, to me, I viewed them as advantageous. The idea that I could get, beast or bug damage on a midline Aqua would be phenomenal. So didn't really view those as impurities. And then other than that, I just had one bad eye. So I felt really good about this. And when I went into the Axie breeding simulator, with anyone who's not familiar with this, there's a few out there. I prefer Axie breeding simulators. You can go in and drop the Axie IDs. So I dropped the two Axie IDs in there, and I just toggled the odds to kind of see what would come up. And all Axies have eight traits. Six that really matter. Color and pattern are more for aesthetics. A lot of people talk about eyes and ears as not being that important, but at the end of the day, they do still affect your health and speed are in my opinion, the most important, but also your skill and morale as well, based on whether or not you have different parts have different bonuses, which I will hit on in another video. But for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to hit on why I decided to breed these, and just in looking across it, um, breeding Nemo Aquas, 97% chance of getting my Nemo with a small, R2 in one of my breeders having gerbil. That's a risk, but again, minimized relative to a lot. On my back, you can see the same thing, 97% chance with 3% of garish, which is again great. 94% chance of shoal star. And 3% dual blade and bamboo shoot. Obviously, trying to avoid bamboo shoot, but dual blade wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. And then on my mouth, what is this, 97% chance of risky fish or piranha, which I think is great. I was pretty indifferent about having either of those on a mouth. Risk for having catfish, but again, only 3%. And then just on my ears, I've got a 6% chance of getting non-pure ears. So, just as you look through this overall, really solid. And that's why I, just went with this. And you can see what happens when you breed together two 97% pures. And, if you start to think like I do, where this bug and beast damage on the horn in the back is not going to be the end of the world, you're really looking at like 3% risks, right? With gerbil, catfish, and then 6 um, on the ears. So that is pretty much why I decided to breed those two together. And I will go through the second breeding pair now as a comparison. So this was my second pairing of the Aquas C and D, which I bred together as well. And I can go through those right now. These were two others where 94% purity and 96% pure. And when I was looking at these, yeah, dual blade in the R1 risk, Biden's Hollow and Neo all R2s, so not the end of the world there. And I paired this with my Aqua D, who had just the one R1 sandal. Everything else pretty much great, besides again this catfish and the zeal. So that ended up being a really good pairing. Because as I looked at this, and same thing, dropped in the Axie IDs, went through, looked at it. 91% Nemo. So as I explained in the last video, I knew that I'd have some risk with Nabago with some of these tails not being pure Nemos across all three traits. 10% of Sandal, 3% with Biden. So that's a little bit of a risk here. But again, pretty good, limiting that to a 12% outcome as basically my worst number here. Aranda, Shoal Star, both good. Would prefer Aranda and have that at 75%, so that's great. Dual blade at 10%. I really hope that I hit on one of these so I can show you guys what it looks like when it comes out. Maybe use it in PvP, try to demo why I think that having this on a midliner is just really advantageous with the current state of the meta. And again, here, risky fish, lamb, and a 3% with catfish. So, not much could go wrong there, knock on wood. And then you've got one bad gene in the ears here at a total of 6. So when I'm looking at this, I got 9% risk here, 3 in Bidens. I don't really consider any of those a real risk. 3 in catfish, 3 in hollow, and then 6% on the ears. So looking at 90 to 94%, 90 to 93% across all of my parts are what I want. And when I looked at that, was very excited, and that's just how I think about all of these things coming together. And yeah, I was really excited to breed these guys. As you can see, got the breed counts at 4. The eggs are incubating, and I am going to be hatching those in the next day or two. And I'm going to put out another video about exactly what it looks like when they come out, and I'll be able to give you my reaction on those, and then I will discuss what to do next. That's pretty much all I have for this video. I might put one more section in showing what some of the other um, combinations were and what I was thinking about, but the last video was pretty long, and I think this was pretty straightforward, just kind of talking about the overall costs, how I thought about all of these things, and then breaking down, showing you what I looked at inside of the breeding simulator, just to show you what I looked at and what I valued as I was going through it on the 2 that I decided to. But yeah, might just go into a little bit on a few that I didn't do, but if not, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be continuing to document this breeding series and let you know what is coming next. I intend to either sell these offspring off and kind of start from scratch again and show and kind of document how much could you make if you just did one ABCD. Because as I talked about in my about video, I am planning on turning some of these into scholarship Axies. And if I have 4 midliners kind of set up and bread, I might just cycle through all of these, sell them, and try to do this entire thing over with koi aquas and build backliners, and then I could have myself a good 2/3 of what I would really need to start some scholarship teams. But either way, I will keep everyone up to date, and yeah, thanks for coming and watching the video. And I'm Wade Watts. You guys all stay classy.